Hello, everyone. This is the TBK podcast. Today we have myself, LL. We have Tunde, and we have David. So yeah, we're just gonna get into this one quickly. The discussion that we're gonna have today is Floyd Mayweather ruining his legacy, taking on these type of exhibition matches. It's just been announced that he will be fighting Logan Paul on the 6th of June. So, that's the thing. Every time Floyd makes these kind of announcements, you always have some people who are, happy to see him back in the ring, but there always seems to be a lot of moaning of people, a certain demographic when they see Floyd's getting back in the ring. They talk about Floyd, fighting some of these young current champions, although Floyd is, how old is he now? Is he 44, 43? I'm not sure. David, let's go, man. What do you think? Is Floyd ruining his legacy?
I mean, if we're going to add these onto what he's done in the ring, these last couple of bouts, and I include McGregor, the argument is there that it could be. Me personally, I don't see, you can't put Jake Paul down as like his 51st win, as far as Logan Paul, because it's an exhibition match. Yeah, so I don't see how that hangs on the end of his boxing record. Like I can add it to his list of exhibition fights, which is the one that he fought in Japan, and this one you can even include McGregor on that if you want. But the argument is there to support it, and me, I don't want to say that personally, because we all know his record is there to be rated very highly. But stuff like this, if we're going to add it on to the end of his boxing record, then the arguments are justified to a degree. He's not taking on an actual boxer. You know what I mean? He's taking on a YouTuber. So just if you label it differently, no one's got a problem with it.
It has been labelled as an exhibition.
Yeah, well, again, like I said, good as long as it's not put onto his record, because McGregor was win number 50, right?
Yeah, but that wasn't an exhibition.
Yeah, see, again, that was an exhibition for me because he was a novice. He had never fought a fight in his life. Do you know what I mean? I don't really think he's necessarily ruining his legacy with this particular fight, because we all know, I mean, the guy's nickname Money made for a reason. Do you know what I'm saying? If it makes money, it makes sense. And right about now, really and truthfully, how much is he really going to get hit or be tested by Logan Paul? All right, Logan Paul looked okay against KSI, but they were fighting against people at their level. Floyd is not KSI. So he's a step way above. And for me, I'm not going to try and be a boxing snob and be like, oh, these fights shouldn't be happening, because at the end of the day, right now, it's bringing a new fan base to the sport. I'm all for that. I just think Floyd's having a bit of fun, man. So as long as it doesn't go towards his record, I don't deem his legacy being ruined.
So if this bout went on his record, then it's a stain on his legacy.
I'd have a problem with it. I'm not going to pretend I'd have a problem with it, because one, he's better than that. Two, if you look at the stellar roster of people that he has just taken apart, it's an insult to those guys even to add Logan Paul to that list of names, like professionally or properly. My opinion. You know what I mean? People can agree with it, people can disagree with it. That's my opinion. But I don't believe that you can put Logan Paul in a ballpark with loads of the fighters Floyd has beaten. So I wouldn't look at it very favourably. Okay.
Sunday, do you wanna give your take on it?
I don't think he's tarnished his legacy at all. This is an exhibition fight. It's been billed as an exhibition fight. I don't have a problem with his fight with McGregor, in that, although, McGregor was a novice in regards to boxing, he was an MMA champion at 2 weights. So, that was an actual fight. I've got no problem with that. With this particular fight, he's he's 4 years retired. He's doing a similar thing to, say Tyson, although Tyson's fighting people that were actually boxers. But this guy is somebody who feels that, he's got a massive following. He's bringing a brand new audience into boxing, and it's just an easy way for Mayweather to make a lot of money. I've got no problem with it, none whatsoever. And as I was saying, he's not tarnished his legacy in any way, shape or form. His legacy is there for a reason. He's fought everybody in the game that needed to be fought. I don't think there's anything that he can do that will tarnish his legacy unless he started fighting these people seriously, which he's not going to do. It's just an exhibition, a fun thing to do, but something that's going to bring him a lot of money. More power to him.
Okay. I mean, my take on it is like Floyd Mayweather. He's a retired fighter. Yeah, he's a retired fighter, and he's not the first fighter to do these type of exhibition bouts. Namely, Muhammad Ali. Yeah, do you know what I mean? Muhammad Ali, he fought a wrestler in an exhibition bout. He had numerous exhibition bouts after he was retired and stuff. Yeah, do you know what I mean? So Floyd Mayweather's not actually doing anything new. To talk about Floyd beginning a real fight at this stage in his long career, I think it's a bit ridiculous. When I hear about people trying to match him up against guys like Spence and Crawford and all of that, I mean, I find it silly. He's like 43, 44. Some people will argue, well, Manny's still fighting. Okay, yeah, but Manny's still fighting. He's still an active fighter. Floyd Mayweather is not an active fighter. I think the only way how this hair can affect his legacy is if he loses.
but even then, will it?
Yes, it will. It will. Yeah, because there's a certain group of people who don't like Floyd Mayweather. Yeah, and they will not make Floyd Mayweather forget the day that he got either beat, hurt, dropped, stunned by a YouTuber. I think he's putting his flawless record. He's putting it on the line because he only has everything to lose. He has nothing to gain other than the financials, I guess. Yeah, do you know what I mean? Yeah, he actually has nothing to gain from it. If anything, Logan Paul, he can go down as the guy who caught Mayweather with a good right hand. And that might be the only moment that he has in the fight. He might give Mayweather jelly legs. Yeah, all these kind of things there will be a stain on Mayweather's record. They will not forget it. Yeah, do you know what I mean? We've seen fights where Mayweather has dominated for the whole 12 rounds, and then there's just that one moment where he gets hit with a shot, and then that would just be put on repeat on highlight reels in that, yeah? Over YouTube, the time Floyd Mayweather almost got beat, the time Floyd Mayweather got hurt. So I think that's what he's kind of risking. But I think as well, he's a retired fighter. He can still make money from boxing. Why would he not? Do you know what I'm saying? It's like his last bout against the Japanese kid, what's his name? Kenshi, I think it was. I mean, he made like 9 million or something like that. 9 million, yeah, for like 3 minutes worth of work. Against McGregor, I mean, there's reports saying that he made about 100 million. Like, I mean, this bout here, Floyd's not going to do it if the money ain't right. Let's just assume that even if he made 20 million, like, why would he not? But yeah, that's how I feel about it personally. I think he's a retired fighter. He's earning money. Why not? Why can't people just enjoy the show? And this is another thing as well. People always act like when Floyd was an active fighter, they were saying, they want him to retire. He brings nothing to the sport. He's ruined the sport of boxing. But then he comes back to do these exhibitions and everyone's talking about it. Even if they're saying, I don't want to watch it. They're in all these groups, they're on all these comments, and they're always talking about Floyd. Even since he's been retired for the last 4 years, they're always still trying to match up Floyd with all these active fighters. They're talking about, Canelo can beat Floyd today. Floyd's like 43, 44 years of age. He hasn't been in a competitive bout since the Manny Pacquiao fight, to be honest.
Right.
How long ago was the Manny Pacquiao fight?
That was
6 years ago.
Is it 6?
No,
I thought it was 5.
Seven.
No. Is it as long as 7?
No. It's 6 years ago. It happened. Right. 2015. Yeah.
Okay.
Not just that. Two things on what you said though, real quick. Is it's odd that people wanted him to retire. He didn't bring nothing to the sport. Now people are blaming the fact that he got paid from the sport as to why other fighters want to get paid and not fight each other. Let's not forget, Canelo picked Floyd at that time, thinking that Floyd was going to be too old for him. Like he picked Floyd. So when people say stuff like, "Oh, Canelo was young and whatnot," no, Canelo was definitely trying to cherry pick Floyd, and that was a cherry pick gone very wrong.
And if Canelo had beaten Floyd Mayweather, Today, if people was to talk about that fight, they would say Canelo got Floyd when he was old. That's what they would say.
Yeah.
I mean, how old was Shane Mosley when he fought Canelo? He was what? Was he like 37, something like that? Was he like 37, something along those lines?
38.
I mean, Miguel Cotto. Yeah, they all these guys, they say Canelo got these guys when these guys were out of their prime. So what about Floyd then? Was Floyd in his prime or not? Do you know what I'm trying to say to you? And Floyd beat him. But now they say Canelo was too green at the time. Yeah, do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I just find it really strange that people talk about a guy who hasn't been in a competitive fight for the last 5-6 years, and they talk about him going against the pound for pound number one guy today, saying that the pound for pound number one guy today will beat him. A 43-year-old fighter who hasn't fought for the last 5 years. I find that crazy. I feel like people who hate Floyd really love him. Yeah, back to the question, does it ruin his legacy? If he loses, if he gets stung,
Only in that circumstance. You know what I mean? The argument is there anyway, but again, you lot both made it clear it's an exhibition bout. If it's an exhibition bout, not really. You just can't lose it.
I mean, as well, let's have it right. I know we're going to keep on going. I know I said we'll keep this one short, but let's just keep on going for a minute. Apparently, Floyd is not allowed to, or he can't weigh no more than 160 pounds. And Logan Paul, he can't weigh no more than 190 pounds. So Logan Paul's going to have at least a 30-pound advantage on Floyd. He's a tall guy. He's really big. Do you know what I mean? It's like, and Logan Paul's very athletic as well. Like, that's another thing. He's very athletic, and I don't for 1 minute believe that Logan Paul's going to beat Floyd. But at the same time, Logan Paul's a really young guy. He's like 25. He's very athletic. Anything can happen. Yeah. And I think Floyd still has that thing where people want to see him made into a meme. Do you know what I mean? So there is that. For me personally, like, I will watch it. I'm personally going to watch it because there's always that element of anything can happen. What if? Do you know what I mean? And the fact that Logan Paul has these kind of advantages in his favor, it makes it slightly intriguing for me. I don't really want to get into that. I don't want to seem like some, people say, like, when you talk about these things, like they won't take you seriously and stuff like that. But I am slightly intrigued by it. I mean, are you intrigued by it? Are any of you guys intrigued by it or not? Is it just me?
Cool. Nah, cool. So, I mean, what's not to be intrigued by? When you start talking about the weight limits, what's not to be intrigued by? You know what I mean? You kind of covered it all, to be fair. You've got an athletic, younger, bigger guy going up against a retired fighter whose record was unblemished. And I think that's what makes it intriguing, is because if this wasn't Floyd Mayweather, I wouldn't pay any attention to this. No, I would. Mm-hmm. That's a lie, actually. I would, but I probably wouldn't want to watch it at the time. But I want to watch this. I want to watch this just because it's Floyd. I don't want to see Floyd get beaten. And then we know what's going to come next is that Jake is going to start talking about fighting Floyd as well. It just makes it makes it for what it is, really, a bit of fun.
Yeah,
I mean? But at the same time, don't want to see Floyd get beat.
Yeah.
Don't want to see Floyd get beat. Do you know what I mean?
There is that flip side of it. Sorry to cut you off, Tom. I was just going to say, there is that flip side of it, is these guys are not professional fighters. They have not got a history in the sport. We don't want to see these guys go up against someone like Floyd and get hurt. These kids out here can potentially get really hurt. Like, boxing is not a game to be played. It's not a game. Yeah, do you know what I'm trying to say to you? Yeah, it's not a game. Yeah. So,
yeah, but with that said, I think if we're talking about Jake, because I think Jake is really talking like he wants to take this thing serious. I think it'll be a little bit different. Whereas I think we know with Logan, he's really more about the business side of things too. And Floyd isn't. Between him and Floyd, this is definitely a business arrangement more than it is a competitive one. Like, if you look at the stuff that's being said between Jake Paul and Tommy Fury, they want a war. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. They want to really go to town on each other. I don't see that being the same here. I really don't see that being the same here. I think it's a case of two men who are very business savvy, maximizing an opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's what this comes down to. But with that said, as someone who is looking at it from the sports perspective and the competitive perspective, we just don't want Floyd to lose.
Yeah. You got on the MMA side, you got Ben Askren, you know, who was quite an accomplished fighter in the MMA. He gets completely obliterated by Jake Paul. We can't have Floyd go in there and look bad against another Paul brother.
No way.
They'll be 2-0 against MMA and boxing. Do you know what I mean?
This is a YouTuber going into a boxing ring. If Floyd was going into a cage, if he was going into the octagon to fight, then we could sit there like worried or biting our nails, whatever it is. But this is his thing. This is his art.
The same way how he done that Kenshi, he needs to just go in there, just get rid of him, and then that's it. Don't mess around.
I think that's what he's going to do. And the thing is like, I don't think people actually realise, like, a professional boxer, how hard a professional boxer can hit. This is somebody who's been throwing punches since the age of 3, 4. After a while, like, somebody off the street or somebody who's just been training, like, you know, as a, you know, in terms of recreation, the way they punch and the way a professional boxer will punch are two completely different things. Once this guy gets hit once, he's gonna think in his head, Jesus, right? I can't take too many of these. Right? And the thing is, because he's not KSA that he's fighting.
That's right.
This is Mayweather. And the thing is, because Mayweather's going to take it easy on him, and as soon as this guy gets a little bit bright, and he's going to, right, then Mayweather's going to be like, all right, cool, and he's going to hit him, and he's going to hit him hard, and this guy's going to be like, nah, man, I can't take too many.
You know, I was going to say, just before I wrap it up, again, you know, the real, you know, like, boxing hardcore, they're not gonna like this. But for me personally, there's another element to it that I find slightly intriguing, which is Floyd Mayweather in boxing for a very long time. He's been a very disliked figure in boxing. People have always wanted to see him lose. If he goes in there and he beats Logan Paul, and then Jake Paul continues to do what he's doing, and let's say he goes in there and after he beats, you know, his YouTube rival KSI, there will be two men who people have always wanted to see lose. So you have Jake Paul, young, you know, strong, loads of attitude and stuff, you know what I mean? People say he's making a mockery of the sport. And then you have Floyd Mayweather. So the people who hate Jake Paul, but also hated Floyd Mayweather, who would they want to see win in that situation? Because I would naturally assume that they would want to see Floyd put it right. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Because Floyd would be representing the sport of boxing. It's just the same way as if, you know, a UFC legend went in the ring with Jake Paul. The whole of UFC will be for the UFC guy because he's representing UFC. So Floyd, he will be the best of the best in boxing. Even if Floyd's 50 years of age and he was going against Jake Paul, all those people who hated on Floyd, they would want to see him, you know, put an end to this whole Jake Paul thing. Yeah, do you know what I mean? So we'll see how it plays out. But I do find that side of it interesting. But anyway, fellas, we need to wrap this up. So yeah, it's an interesting conversation. We'll see how this plays out. The fight's going to be on June the 6th, I believe. Yeah, that's going to be on a Sunday. So yeah, we'll talk about this once the bout happens, and you know what I mean? Hopefully, you know, Floyd, you know, he stays, you know, quote unquote unblemished. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's myself, LL, David, and Tunde. This is the TBK podcast. We're out.
And this is the TBK podcast.